Hey everyone, my name is Ben, and these are my favourite albums of the year so far, leading up to about June, mid-June, either way, roughly halfway through the year, which means yes, this should have been done probably over a month ago, but either way, it's here now, and we're going to kick it off with Father John Misty, with God's Favourite Customer. This was a beautiful album, I thought. It was really personal to Father John Misty. Clearly, he talks a lot about himself and his own kind of personal demons. He's very vulnerable on it. I loved Pure Comedy. If you've seen my top albums of last year, you'll know that I loved Pure Comedy last year. That was actually my first time really getting into Father John Misty. Then I went back and listened to some of his older stuff, and Honey Bear is probably actually the easiest one to get into first, and I would say Pure Comedy is probably the hardest, but this being the most personal, you kind of need that idea of him already built up in your head for it to really hit you in the way that I think it should. Because just hearing about a person that you don't care about, just like, starting off with an album like this, unless you're extremely empathetic, like some of his songs that have made me for sure, then it's maybe not the best one to start with, but goddamn, certain songs, Mr. Tillman's great, it's really funny, and kind of a self-critique of, I guess, dumb stuff that he's done in the past, maybe some exaggerations, but who knows. Really, just great concept for a track. Go watch the music video for that as well, it complements it very well. And the same goes for Please Don't Die, which is probably my favourite track. It's gorgeous. From what I remember, it's him singing from his wife's perspective. It kind of sums him up as an artist for me. I think it just being beautifully blunt and morbid in a sense. Just straight to the point of, yeah, please don't die. I really need you. You're really important to my life. Like, it's a love song, but it's not really conventional. Same with some of his other stuff on the album before Pure Comedy. Yeah, I love that, and I love the music video. If you've not seen any of Father John Misty's stuff, then while yeah, I would recommend going back to stuff like Honey Bear, I would say just go see the music video for Please Don't Die. Beautiful stop motion for a beautiful song, really heartfelt. I love that track, and I really enjoyed this album. Not more than Pure Comedy. I still think Pure Comedy is a better album, but this one just continues what he does so well with the instrumentation and his voice, and yeah, it's fantastic. Give it a listen. And then a little unexpected, but the new BTS album, Love Yourself Tear, I believe it's called. Tear is in brackets. I don't know. It's Korean. It's Korean. I didn't expect to like this as much as I did. I never really properly listened to K-pop. I never listened to a K-pop album, that's for sure, before this one. I listened to G-Dragon. I actually did listen to one of their albums, and I'm sure many people would call it K-pop, but it's pretty much K-hip-hop. It's Korean hip-hop, but everybody just calls everything out of Korea as K-pop, and that's not how genres work, but dumb foreigners such as ourselves seem to just do that anyway. But this was actually a pretty damn good album, and it shows how lackluster pop music has been in general, I think, in terms of UK scene and American scene. Really been slacking, because I feel like with the rise of hip-hop and trap especially, just overtaking pop to such an insane degree as it has done now, most pop music has a rapper on the track, so that's something, and then it doesn't seem to really try all that hard, and the melodies aren't all that catchy, and there's not a lot of variation, but each member here, not that I fucking remember them all off the top of my head, I'm not a fanboy, but they all bring something pretty unique to the table. They've got some R&B and actual rap influences in there, but it's still within their own group, because that's all they really need. Of course, I'm sure if you've seen the music videos and stuff, beautiful, like, dancing, so well choreographed. That's one of the things that these K-pop bands are really, really good at. But they also have made a damn good album, honestly. I think Love Yourself is a pretty solid pop album, and I was really shocked. because I was like, okay, let's see what all this hype is about. Spotify is like plastering it, like, look at this new thing. And I mean, it was huge. It got to like #1 on the billboards in America, I believe, which is insane for a Korean band to do. But after listening to it, I can understand why. It's a solid album, beautiful melodies, pristine production throughout. I liked it a lot. Then I want to give a quick shout out to Parquet Courts. As soon as I heard their single Wide Awake from their new album Wide Awake, God, I was hooked. Like, that is such a catchy song. If you've not listened to this band before, which I haven't before that, listen to Wide Awake if you like that track, which you probably will because it's really catchy and just, it's got that energy, and the rhythm, the instrumental is it's a really well put together song. And the same goes for basically everything else on this album. Punky, other genre names that I'm sure apply to it that I don't know, because I'm really bad when it comes to putting something in a genre. But goddamn, this album front to back, it is really solid, very catchy, well presented, little unique. Some great ideas. Just it's hard to describe. Just check it out. Check out Wide Awake, the single, and then if you like that, listen to the album. Well worth it. Then we have the new Young Fathers. The new Young Fathers album, not as good as their last one, White Men Are Black Men Too. I was definitely going back to that one a lot more than I have been doing with this. But this had some great singles from it, and it's a shorter album, but I don't think there are any tracks I absolutely hate. I can put it on and be pretty satisfied throughout, but there are definitely some big highlights, and I went to see them live as well, and they are really fucking good live. Their live audiences, not so much. They don't, most people don't seem to vibe with them in the way that they themselves would like. They are crazy and off the wall, and they just have so much energy. Young Fathers continue to be such a unique trio. You can't put them in any genre. That's what's so fun with them. You're gonna put on an album from them and you're gonna get Young Fathers. You're not gonna get them trying to copy anyone else or anything like that. You're just gonna get Young Fathers. And I really appreciate that. You can tell where influences have come from, but they always mix them together in interesting and unique ways. But it means that they're just a band that you have to listen to yourself to really understand them, and it's well worth listening to. This album, their last one, all of their work I think is really solid. Then we've got this Crush EP from Raven Lene, if that's how you say her name. Really solid little R&B joint. It's great, super catchy, great voice, interesting production which isn't too mainstream. It's a little out there. Sticky is a great fucking track, but honestly I can't pick a single bad one. For sure it's a short EP, so that's easy to do. But yeah, if you want some quality R&B, just soulful but all poppy here and there, it's really fucking good. Keep your eye on Raven Lene, please. I hope that's how you say her name, because I think she's just gonna keep hitting it out of the park after this. And speaking of hitting it out of the park, this Isolation thing from Kali Uchis, her first album. Ooh, really good for a first album. I get Amy Winehouse vibes from this. I'm not necessarily saying she's on her level or above or anything, but she's got that sort of soulful voice, and some of the production is very reminiscent of Amy Winehouse, while not trying to specifically emulate her. She's got a lot of soul in her voice. This is a gorgeous album. I was excited to hear her ever since I heard her on the Tyler the Creator album, Flower Boy last year, my favourite album of last year, and then hearing Tyler pop up on this one, another wonderful track, After the Storm, really drew me in and got me even more excited to hear the album, and I wasn't disappointed. I was really surprised with how solid this was throughout, pretty much. A few tracks here and there that I wasn't crazy on, but for a pretty lengthy album, not too lengthy, doesn't feel like it drags, which is a key thing to note. It's just actually really good throughout. For a first album, I wouldn't have expected that, because a lot of the time it's either shorter and really quality, or longer and it's just kind of meh. But this is a bit longer, and honestly it's really solid. If you've not heard any of Kali Uchis, then listen to her. She is a wonderful singer. Especially if you like stuff like Amy Winehouse and various other R&B artists, then I think you're really gonna like her. And another super strong female artist, Janelle Monáe, who kills it every time, everything she does. Acting, singing, instrumentation, like, she's very multi-talented. She made this whole album into a mini movie that you can see on YouTube, which hasn't got enough views, honestly. Like, I'm blown away with how underrated she is in terms of that. I know Make Me Feel got quite popular, but nowhere near as much as her other stuff should have. Her entire album should be blowing up everywhere, and it isn't anywhere near that extent, which it should be at. It should be up there on the charts because it's catchy, it's weird, and of course because it's a little weird and experimental, that's probably the main thing that stops it from getting there. But goddamn, so much of it is so well performed, so many interesting ideas, and the lyrics themselves are actually really fucking good. For something which I guess is primarily a pop album, it's not a stupid one, it's not a brainless one, it's one that you can put on and yeah, you can have a fun time and just dance to it or whatever, but you can also start to pay attention to it and be like, yeah, these lyrics mean something, you know? They've got some thought, they've got some depth behind them, and I really do appreciate out of music, as you all well know with how much I love stuff like hip-hop, mainly because of that. But she manages to present that in a beautiful voice. I adore that, and I adore this album. It's a fantastic album. If you've never listened to Janelle Monáe, then you got a lot of good albums to listen to. Then moving into that hip-hop area, I saved them all for this bit pretty much. We have the new Cupcake album, Epheries, however you say it. Cupcake is fucking great, and another one who doesn't get nearly enough attention. She gets some attention from the shock value because she's so sexual, and she is in not only great ways but also hilarious ways. She pushes the metaphors and comparisons about very sexual things to the next level and makes them so funny and such a joy to listen to, because you're just gonna get bar after bar of great jokes, honestly, and they're actually going to be really clever at the same time, a lot of them. Unfortunately, the production doesn't necessarily always back her up as well as I think it could. It gets a little repetitive. But other than that, this album's actually just a great listen. I adore Cupcake and her style and her personality and how much that comes through on every single track that she's on. That's the thing. Even when the beat might not be amazing, and she could do with working with some other producers maybe, that can complement her wackiness as well as she can. She always makes up for any like downfall that the track might have, because that's just what she does. She does flow, lyricism, as you know, you could argue one-dimensional as it is because it is so focused on sex and LGBT stuff. But you know what? That's kind of missing, especially from a female perspective, in a lot of hip-hop. And I appreciate that she's giving it here, and not just hey, like, I'm a woman, so therefore I get a free pass in terms of, like, you know, I don't necessarily have to flow that well or be a great rapper. Like, no, she's a great fucking rapper. She can rap her ass off. She's really, really good. Cartoons is a highlight for me. That's a really fun track. That's such a braggadocious. She hypes herself up so much on that track, and it's so fun to listen to because of all the cartoon references are just slipped in there so well, and it's so clever. It just sums her up in a wonderful way. Definitely give Cupcake a chance if you haven't yet, because she's awesome. Then we've got Care For Me from Saba. I really love this album. I have actually come back to it far more than many others this year, and especially with it, it's not necessarily the catchiest. It does have some that get stuck in your head a little bit, but it's just so well written that it really comes across like poetry, and his flow is just so pleasant to the ear. Everything's so nice to listen to in it. His voice, his inflection is great, and he really conveys the emotion of some of these tracks so well. I'm really impressed with this album. I went back and listened to his other one after this because I was so impressed with it. and I do like that one too, but Care For Me I feel is just on another level for him. It's getting a little underappreciated, I feel. Saba needs to be bigger than he is. If this is what he's putting out as, I believe, is his second album, then I'm just eager to see where he can go from here. Because Care For Me has so many emotional tracks on it that feel really personal to him. But tracks like Prom/King tell such a vivid story. It's so easy to get wrapped up in. And then you have tracks like Smile, which, you know, it doesn't have the most complex chorus or anything. It's literally just smile. I'm pretty sure it's just that, maybe a few other words, but it's just saying how I'm gonna smile. And that's the thing. With a track like that, I don't feel like you need a super complex chorus, because half of it is just the vibe of it, and it puts me in a really good place, even emotionally. Yeah, it just like whenever I put it on, I'm just like, yeah, I want to smile, because the production really complements it, like it does with every track, I think. It's catchy, kind of naturally because it's repetitive in that sense, but it's just a good sort of mantra, I guess. Really good feelings, good vibes from that track, and it doesn't dumb itself down outside of the chorus, you know? There are still interesting lyrics here and there, no matter what track you're listening to. I really adore this album, actually. It hit me a lot harder than I thought it was going to, so great fucking job, Saba, on that. Then we have Post Malone's new album, which I really didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did. I thought, okay, Rockstar, pretty good single, but then again I thought like Congratulations was a pretty good single from his last album, and that album wasn't all that great, so I wasn't so sure if he could keep that sort of quality up for an entire album. And sure enough, he pretty much can. There are a few duds here and there that I'm not a huge fan of. The track with Nicki Minaj on, not a big fan of that, but I do like Nicki Minaj's feature. This is the thing. I think there's usually something good about every track. Particularly, though, he just has such an ear for melody. He's so good at making catchy shit, and it's really nice to hear his voice with not as much auto-tune on it. You can hear a few like flaws in there, but that makes it more human and emotional, especially on tracks like Stay. For me, I actually appreciate that more than just a perfect sounding voice from auto-tune or otherwise. I appreciate more cracks and more emotion than I do pristine. And sure, the lyrics themselves might not be like amazing. He does have a few here and there which are a little cringeworthy, but for the most part they're usually entertaining and don't detract from what the track is trying to do, which is mainly be catchy and nice and a fun listen. And the guests all do a great job, and Post Malone just kind of keeps getting better as an artist. It's really quite impressive, honestly, to see him grow from just his last album just to this one was, I think, such a huge improvement. And then with a track like Stay being so different from his other stuff, I'd love to see where he goes next, especially with a sound like that. I don't want an entire album of it, but I would love to hear more acoustic tracks from Post Malone. Yeah, this was actually a really enjoyable album. Then we have Streams of Thought Volume 1 from Black Thought. And Black Thought, if you haven't even heard of him, he's one of the front men in Roots. If you've not heard of them, then go look up who the Roots are. But if you've never heard of him or you've never listened to him, just type in Black Thought freestyle. That was one of the things that really catapulted him up, because this freestyle is 10 fucking minutes, and it is worthy of being an EP in its own right. The amount of intelligent bars he drops on a freestyle. I know a lot of freestyles are probably, written down a little bit beforehand and they have ideas in their heads of what they want to say. But to do that for 10 minutes, and the boy doesn't take a proper break, it's like he doesn't breathe at all. And you see the sweat coming down his face. He's going for it, and it's one of the most amazing things to watch. He's so intelligent as well. You can tell that in his lyricism, but he's making such obscure references, like literary references, that I didn't get. When I showed it to my mum, she was loving it. She was like, oh yeah, he's referencing that book and this. Like, this is how far-reaching kind of this guy is. He is a fucking genius. And it's almost a crime that it's taken him so long to put out something solo. but Streams of Thought has come out, and it's great. It's really, really good. I'm really happy that he's got the production to back him up on it as well. The beats here are solid, but yet again, it's him and even his guests as well, who all just stand out for their incredible bars, incredible lyricism. Their flow is just so on point. Everything is so fucking pristine. Oh, it's great. It's a great listen, and it's not too long. It's shorter than even all those Kanye albums that have been coming out. Just get, like, if you want some quality traditional rapping, you just gotta listen to Black Thought. And then finally, we have Kanye's albums. We've got Daytona, not Nasir, sorry. We've got Yay and Kids See Ghosts. All three of these are fucking phenomenal. They are such good albums, and I'm so impressed with not only how close they were released together, but the quality of the production, how consistently good they are. But they all sound different, but they still work well together, and pretty much each one complements the artists that are on them really, really well. Apart from the Nasir one. We're not going to talk about Nasir. So starting with Daytona, like Pusha T, I've not really listened to this guy's back catalogue. I need to dig into that. But this guy is a fucking lyricist. He is incredible. He just raps about cocaine and dealing coke. But the boy does it so well that he can fill an entire album with it, and you don't care. Because goddamn, the double entendres, the similes, the analogies, the everything is just so impressive. There's so many layers in almost everything that he says, and just the inflection in which he says it is so commanding. It's so like, no, you need to listen to what I'm fucking saying because it's important, or I'm important. But it doesn't come off in a super egotistical way. It's quite fun a lot of the time. Kanye's production to back it up is absolutely phenomenal as well. Then he calls out Drake on the last track. He also called out Lil Wayne, who didn't seem to want to respond, but Drake did. And unfortunately for Drake, his response was good, but Pusha T just drops the nukes on him, and rest in peace. But moving on to Yay, I actually really enjoyed this project. I know a lot of people didn't, but for me, it was clearly really personal. It's not quite as personal as I would have liked it to have been. I think it could have gone more in depth on certain things, which is why it's not my favourite of the three. But yet again, the production is beautiful. I love even some of the ones that a lot of people seem to have a problem with. Like some people have a problem with the would leave chorus bit. I'm not sure who that is on there. It might be Young Thug. But I actually really liked it. It might actually be Party Next Door, I'm not too sure. Anyway, I actually really, there's just something about it. Like a lot of these tracks, there's just something about it that is so sonically pleasing to me, but not in a really traditional sense. That's what's nice about it. It's like, God, yeah, I wouldn't, if you just told me, oh yeah, and he sounds like this on it, then I'd be like, wow, that just sounds fucking stupid. But then I listen to it, I just get really swept up in the culmination of it all, and I really enjoy it. And I don't enjoy Kanye as a person a lot of the time, because he's really not great and he says a lot of dumb shit. Like, obviously, especially the slavery was a choice thing, which he doesn't really address in a good way. He's just like, imagine if they caught me on a wild day. And I'm like, that's not a good defense thing, that you could basically say more stupid shit than that. That's not really a great way to defend yourself. Barring all of that, the guy's still a musical genius. And it hurts to say that in a sense, because it's such a conflict, and it makes me more angry at him when he's an idiot and says so much bullshit. There's a conflict of, I really enjoy this music, and I want to listen to it, and I can separate art from artist for sure. I just wish I didn't have to here. And obviously when he has bars like that, it becomes harder to do so, but goddamn, is just the overwhelming greatness of these projects. It's enough to make me forget about all that pretty much. And then, speaking of overwhelming greatness, Kids See Ghosts is by far my favourite. Holy shit, the combination of Kanye and Kid Cudi on one album, and I'm not even like a big Kid Cudi fan. I never really got into him. I know I should probably go back and listen to some of his albums more intently now, but I really loved them both on this album, and I love the production. It's so weird and ethereal and unique. It's a kind of full album experience, like Yay and like Daytona, even though they're only 7 tracks, roughly around 20 minutes. It feels like a full album experience just condensed down to all the best parts, you know? There's not a single track that I don't like on Kids See Ghosts. There's not a single track that I don't like on any of these, but Kids See Ghosts is the one where I love every single track. I really, really like every single track. Yet again, I think there are certain things that maybe they could have gone into more or better or more detail, but overall, just the feeling of listening to it, it's the album that I've come back to the most in the first half of the year. It's so immensely replayable, being so short, being so goddamn catchy, because I don't get many things stuck in my head. I don't really hum all that much, if at all. And then with this one, Reborn and Kids See Ghosts, I think, were the two that really got stuck in my head. They were really catchy, they were just fucking ingrained in there, which is really rare for me. And it speaks to the quality of the hooks and of the album in general, that they were able to do that. So Kids See Ghosts is definitely my favourite album of the year so far, and so far being June-ish. We've already had a ton of great stuff in July and August, and moving forward we're gonna have yet more great music, I'm sure. It's gonna be wonderful, and I can't wait to talk about more of it towards the end of the year. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Let me know what your favourite albums of the year so far are, and what you thought of this video. Like it if you liked it, subscribe if you loved it, and I'll see you guys next time.